Good morning, Flagler County. This is Danielle Anderson, your host of Lifeline, the radio show connecting you to positivity in our community. And I just want to thank all of our listeners. Last week, we had an amazing show with Suzanne Johnson and Kathy Brown, and we've gotten so many compliments about that show. So thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us know that you really enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed today's show, which we are talking to the Guardian Ad Litem office, not program. And we've got some great ladies here who are advocates for the children in our community and really kind of across the Seventh Circuit. So, Sarah, thanks for rounding up everybody and bringing them in.
My pleasure, Danny.
All right. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell everybody who you are and a little bit about how you're involved with the program.
Absolutely. I'm Sarah Kerrigan, volunteer recruiter for the Seventh Circuit of the Florida Guardian Ad Litem office, and that's representing children in Volusia, Flagler, Putnam, and St. Johns counties. I've been with the office 10 years as a volunteer, and I'm on my 7th year as a volunteer recruiter.
And I'm Dorothy Curry. I'm a Guardian Ad Litem volunteer. I've been a volunteer for 18 years, and I've mainly been in Flagler, but lately I do hold some cases in DeLand and Putnam.
I'm Morgan Gruss, and I am a child welfare professional with the Guardian Ad Litem office here in Circuit 7. I have cases here in Flagler County, which is where I am mainly at, as well as Putnam County.
And the reason this is so important for us is this is National Foster Child Awareness Month. So we really wanted to let folks know that, the program is out there, and not only do the children need support, the caregivers of these children need support, and we want you to know that you can also get involved with the program and become a foster parent if your heart's so moved. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about what the Guardian Ad Litem, Office of the Guardian Ad Litem actually does.
Absolutely. We are completely separate than foster care and children in foster care. That's a separate entity. The Florida Guardian Ad Litem office is an office that represents abused, abandoned, and neglected children, both in court and in the community. We work in a collaboration of a multidisciplinary team that always has an office attorney. They are appointed, to every case, and then we also have a child welfare specialist and hopefully a volunteer that will work in conjunction in that multidisciplinary team.
So when we talk about every child having an attorney, are these attorneys that are paid? They're doing pro bono work? How do you find these people that are willing to represent these children?
Great question, Danny. There's 3 different ways that you can volunteer with our office currently. One is as a volunteer, just like Dottie does, coming in as a child advocate volunteer that's going to be gathering information and working in conjunction, like we spoke about earlier, with that team to represent those children in court, as well as advocate for whatever kinds of interests they have outside while they're in this temporary care. We also have a newer initiative of mentoring. It's a whole new partnership that we have with First Lady Casey DeSantis, and it's a fabulous opportunity to make a lifelong impact on a youth that is transitioning into becoming an adult. And the third option we have is as a pro bono attorney. These are Florida attorneys that are active, that can come and work in conjunction with that advocacy team, either as an attorney, working as a pro bono attorney. They can work in that mentoring opportunity, as well as just joining the team as a child advocate volunteer.
I think that's incredible. People are willing to step up and do those things. And those people are like Dottie, right? So, Dottie, how did you get involved with the program? Because it's been almost, 2 decades for you?
Quite a while. I had retired back in 2005, and I was very bored. And I looked into all different volunteer opportunities. And the Guardian Ad Litem program was giving presentations out to different groups, and I was at one of them. And I was very interested in what they do, and I signed up. I was probably one of the first few volunteers for Flagler. Wow. The office had just opened in Flagler when I joined, so we've come a long way. It's we have the Flagler office. We didn't have the Flagler office when I started. It was one other person, and that ran the little room, and but we've grown a lot.
So, I mean, what was it about the program itself that was attractive to you or really called to your heart?
Probably the children first, and I didn't realize until I really got involved the depth of what was going on in other people's lives. We're like in almost like a bubble. We're in like a different world. What goes on, what we see and live every day with the children that we represent. I was also I was always interested in the law, so that helped out also, but mainly the children. And as time went on, I didn't realize the real depth of what goes on out there that we're not aware of. So we've come a long way.
So was it like maybe 2007, 2008 that you really jumped in?
2007 was when I started, yes.
And that's right when we were kind of in the middle of the Great Recession. We were in the pill mill epidemic. Just everything seemed like it was crashing down at one time.
Right.
And families were really falling apart.
Right, right.
So is there any case that ever stood out for you as just one that was just so impactful or really just opened your eyes?
I worked with teenage boys in the beginning for several years and made a lot of good, long-lasting friends from that. I still have some of the teens that'll call me or write to me. They, in a group home, they were usually maybe 6 to 8 boys in each group home. And I sent a lot of them. I helped them through the Florida Youth Challenge Academy out at Camp Landing. They have a program there, and they go there for 6 months, and they have a mentor while they're there, and they can get their high school diploma in that short a time. They take away everything, the phone, the TV. So a lot of the teenage boys went through that. I had one of those boys that went through the Florida Youth Challenge Academy. They had a prom there, just like a high school prom, and I went as a date to the prom. He invited me to the prom, and I went. Kind of sat back and just watched it all and enjoyed it. I also had another teenager during COVID when they had Matanzas High School, had the graduation down at the Daytona Speedway. And I was able to take one of those boys and his sister and drive the speedway. Oh, wow. We would go and they would announce the names, and we drove your car around the speedway, and at the end they got their diploma. They all got out of their cars and threw their caps up. So those are some of the ones that always stick with me.
Those are like beautiful memories.
Oh, yeah.
As you do that, what's the kind of the time span that you're with these young people?
It depends. If I'm in a case with a baby, some cases go on forever. I have some, again, with the boys that when they turned 18, I still remained as a guardian ad litem with them for a few months, sometimes up to a year, to make sure that they were getting the help they needed to get on their feet. Most of the cases should be winding down after a year, and if the parents are doing their case plan, then we start, reunifying. If we're not at that point in a year, the case could go on for quite a while after that. But our main goal is to reunify with the parent or parents. And
so I know you talked about also the students that are the young people that are 18 and kind of transitioning out, and especially the same thing happens with foster care. When they hit that certain age, they're kind of just suddenly on their own. And Florida's kind of taken a proactive approach to making sure that they're just not out there in the cold. Do you think that's a beneficial program or a beneficial for them to set them up for success?
They originally, when I started, when a teen turned 18, that was the end for them. They had no help, and a lot of them would end up on the street. Few years later, they put the program in place that they could stay in foster care, extended foster care. They had certain requirements, like they had to be in school full-time or work full-time or half and half. And they would be in a group home, a group setting. And that has worked out great because those kids can stay there, I think, up until they're 22 years old. If they have any type of disabilities, they could stay even longer. So that has worked out really well for them. A lot of them, they turn 18 and they're like, I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And we usually get a call, a couple months later. Hey, I want to go back into extended foster care.
It's amazing that they know and trust enough that you're there for them, that they can call you when those times happen.
Yes, definitely.
So, Maureen, how did you get into this program itself?
Oh, well, of course, it started with my mother.
Who's your mother, by the way?
Miss Dorothy. Sure. So my mom has been a guardian ad litem volunteer for quite a few years now. I was in college, and I was able to either write a paper as my final or I could volunteer. So I had a choice. And my mom was volunteering, of course, with the Guardian Ad Litem office. And she said, well, why not join our team? And that is how that all started. She was my certification coach for my first case or two. She helped me write judicial reviews to the court, all of the reports. So she kind of coached me through the years. And then I became a volunteer. I was a volunteer for 4 years and then joined staff. I became the assistant child advocate manager in our office and then transitioned to my current role.
So how did you know that was there a point, even growing up watching your mom doing all this, you said, I know that I want to help people and do this?
Oh, of course. And of course, with the cases being confidential, she couldn't share too much with me. But I knew kind of what she did. And I would see kids in school, because some of them were my age, and they would say, your mom is my guardian ad litem. And she helped me so much. And so that's where I really started hearing about the differences that she was making in our community.
That is just so amazing.
Thank you.
Most people are like, oh, don't tell your parents about me. And you're like, your mom's amazing.
Yes.
So are these typical stories that they're telling? And do you have other parents or like mother-daughter duos that do this kind of thing?
And husband-wife teams as well, absolutely. What Dottie, I think she hit so beautifully on, is what we hope to create for these youth is what we call normalcy. There's a lot of things going on that they have no control, whether it's what house they're staying in, what home, whether they know those people, how long they're going to be there, if their parents are going to work on those tasks in that case plan. Every morning, they're going to be waking up wondering what the day brings, if they're going to be reunified and how they're going to find closure to be in a permanent home again. Every case is unique, going from newborn up to the teen years. These volunteers advocate for all different types of culture and their needs. There are all kinds of things that are in their best interests that we hope to provide. And these are perfect examples that Dottie has given. So, when it gets to that bottom line, this mentorship is going to be only more powerful for them because there's not a lot that they need other than a mentor and a friend to keep them off the street and out of unemployment.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about the first steps and how people can get involved if they're interested. So we'll be right back.
She's Carla.
And that's Alan.
If you don't know who we are,
now you do.
We're the owners of your local Benjamin Moore paint store.
Next time you're thinking about painting, think about us. Benjamin Moore, corner of Old Kings and Utility Drive.
Palm Coast.
Thank you so much for recommending us to your family and friends. When you need a 30, 60, or 90-minute massage, it's real easy to book your appointment online. MassageByNatalie.org. MassageByNatalie.org.
All right, so we are back with the Office of the Guardian Ad Litem. It's always interesting we're doing a Facebook Live, so you're always welcome to go check us out on WNZF News Radio's Facebook page, and you can catch up behind the scenes, see who everybody is here that's talking, and really get to know them in a more intimate way. But when we talk about the reunification, let's also talk about the first steps that lead to that separation. How does that happen? And is it when a parent comes to ask for help, or should they be afraid to ask for help?
Sure. So the guardian ad litem office isn't appointed until we get to what we call a shelter hearing. So sometimes we're not initially involved immediately upon a hotline call being made. So at that shelter hearing, the guardian ad litem office is appointed by the court to that dependency case. Then the office is assigned and a multidisciplinary team is in place with the attorney, the child welfare professional, and then, of course, a volunteer.
So how do we get to the shelter hearing? What is that? Is this something like a child was wandering in the street and someone called the police or something like that? What are those instances?
Sure. So that's definitely an example of what could have happened. It could be in-home. All hotline calls are anonymous to the Department of Children and Families, so we never know who made the call or where they were when it was made. That call is made. A child protective investigator goes out to investigate the situation and assess child safety.
Okay.
If the child is safe and they can put in safety services into the home and they're able to do that, they work with them. If not, and the parents are not able to engage in those services, there's no safety providers available to go into the home, then a shelter occurs. So we get noticed that morning that there's going to be a shelter hearing where the child is going to be removed from their care and a court order is in place for them to not be in the home anymore.
And how long does something like that, is it like 30 days of a probationary experience, or is it just they plan for a longer stay with somewhere else?
It can occur all different kinds of ways. If they try to engage the parents immediately and immediately they are not open to those services, then we have a shelter pretty quickly. If we have parents that are incarcerated and they're going to be in there for a lengthy amount of time, that is all assessed before a shelter hearing is scheduled.
And then your role is to...
So then we come in as the guardian ad litem office, and we're appointed by the court, and a multidisciplinary team is assigned to the case. We assess it. We have initial advocacy staffings where we determine what the child needs, what we think the family needs as far as services. So we all come together as a team to staff or meet to discuss what we think that the family could utilize.
So is this the same as kind of like if you have a children and families caseworker or support staff? Is that the same, or is that something separate?
So we have case management as well that we work with in the community, but they are a separate entity than guardian ad litem.
And then what is your role as far as the child itself?
So we're there to represent the child using a best interest standard and just determining what they need as opposed to working the whole case, making referrals. Our case management team is in charge of making sure all those doctor and dental appointments get done. We're there to make sure as well that they are followed up on, but they are working the entire case and making those efforts towards whatever the goal is of that case, whether it be reunification, adoption, concurrent, another plan, permanency, living arrangement, or APLA. So there's so many different goals that the court could look at, and we try to determine and make a recommendation to the court on what we think is the best option for that child.
We are only there for the child.
Yes.
We are representing these children in dependency cases. The CPC or the community partnership team, they are there to represent every party in that dependency case. So you're going to see a high rollover. There's higher accountability from that judge because of all the things that they need to do. But if one of our volunteers notices that two siblings that have been placed in two different homes are supposed to be getting visits together twice a week and it's not happening, we will make sure that we can do our diligence to make sure that those kinds of things, which we consider normalcy, will take place.
So you're really just hyper-focused on just the child itself, really, then. The other things are part of the program or the process, but you want to make sure that the child has everything that they need.
We have an attorney that represents every child in dependency care that works with the Florida Guardian Ad Litem office.
So if somebody's listening and they say, that sounds like something I want to do. I love kids. I'm a retired teacher, principal, something like that. Is this a good fit for them?
Oh my gosh, that is music to my ears, Tammy. As a volunteer recruiter, as we talked about earlier, we've got several different options to join our team, but there's so many different ways that we can spend our time when we're away from work and find things that we deem purposeful. And I don't know of any place that you can find more importance to make a difference in our local communities than our statewide Florida Garden Ad Litem volunteer opportunities.
What's the training or the process if somebody says, I want to do it, I'm ready to help?
Oh, no, don't ask that question because it's just been rolled over. So TBD, it's coming up. We're fine-tuning some fabulous changes that are really going to help with understanding how to represent these children inside that court and outside as well. So right now it's about 15 or 20 hours, but you do work with what we call here in our circuit a certification coach, which is a mentor that helps that volunteer in that first phase one. We call it a provisional volunteer, doing that field work, visiting that foster home, asking the right questions so that once we get to court, we feel that we have that child's best interest firsthand.
So, Dottie, you said you've been a certification coach for your daughter.
Dottie has.
And I'm sure you were probably extra stringent on her. But as you watch the other people come into the program and fall in love with the process, what's that like for you?
It's a good thing when new people come in. It can be different from each person, and I always tell people, if you're working and you only have nights or weekends, yes, you can take one case. Or if you want to get more involved, figure out what that you're looking for. If you want to do, like with myself, I'm like full-time volunteer. And whenever Morgan calls me and says, I got one for you,
Mom, it's midnight, I need you.
I take it. But it's like there's different levels of volunteers. There's always something for every volunteer out there if they want to do it, a couple hours a week or a month. As long as they're willing to represent that child with court documents, we do a lot of writing of court reports, at least every 6 months, we have to do a report for the court to know what's going on with the child and what we represent, what we believe the child should get as far as their wishes or any recommendations that we could make. So it could be either or. We have just all different levels of volunteers that come in.
Do you see the child more often than every 6 months?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we see the child at least once a month. The big report comes every 6 months. But again, it's the volunteer and how invested they are with each case. I usually see them more than once a month. It depends on the situation. If they're in foster care and, especially the older ones, and try to get them out, take them for like Dunkin' Donuts and things like that. I did take a teen to Dunkin' Donuts one time, and my bad. We got to the counter, and I asked him what he wanted, and he looked around, and he said, I don't know, I've never been here before. And without thinking, I was like, you've never been to Dunkin' Donuts before? And he had never been there. So it's things like that, little things that you can do, obviously more with the older teens, babies that are out there. It's more visits at the home, whether it's foster home relative care or even in daycare. We go into schools. If we want, it's up to us if we want to go to visit any parent that's incarcerated just to get their thoughts on the whole case.
Sounds like you really care about the kids you're taking care of.
Oh, definitely. What do we say? Every face has a case, or every
Behind
case has
every
a
case has a face.
Every case. So, you read that document. Usually when a new case opens, whether it's Morgan or someone else in the office would send the case over to you, the shelter order, and let us know what the case involves. And is that something we would want to do or take on, especially if it's a more serious case or a lighter case?
Are there any cases that you ever have to decline? Or does every kid get it? Every kid is entitled to a guardian ad litem.
Every kid is assigned a guardian ad litem volunteer. Actually, I think right now, currently, all of our Flagler County cases have a guardian ad litem volunteer. Wow. Some of them have two, because we've just been so lucky to have teams. Our guardian ad litem volunteers have met each other. There's been friendships that have come out of this. We are like a big family, specifically in Flagler, because I know I'm here. And they just really want to work together on a case, and we have no problem with that at all. But all of our kiddos have a guardian ad litem volunteer right now. Some cases are more difficult than others. If we have a case that involves specifically physical abuse or sexual abuse, we have that volunteer go through training for that specific need so that they understand what to look for before we provide them with any kind of case information.
So is there anything that we as the general public can do besides volunteering, like, donating gift cards or, pajama drives or books, anything that we can do or give?
All of the above. Talk about us. Know that we exist. Know that these children need volunteers. We are very blessed in Flagler County, but we always can take on more volunteers and mentors. We never know when a case is going to come into the office. So that absolutely is a fabulous way to start. And we also, love to come to your book clubs, any kinds of radio opportunities like we've been so blessed with today. And as well as, just learning more about who we are and getting involved with our foundation. We do have a statewide Guardian Ad Litem Foundation. You can find it on FloridaGuardianAdLitem.org. GuardianAdLitem.org is our state website where you can find information of where to donate to support these children and earmark it for Flagler County right here in this community.
That's incredible. We are so blessed to have you guys doing the work that you're doing and actually caring and sticking it out. I mean, some people are like, oh, my kids are grown, I'm done. And you're just like, how can I give more?
Yeah, I would say we definitely, all of us care about these kids. And, I think once you get involved, you're kind of like hooked.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of just drag you in. But it's, there are times when it's tough. I think part of the volunteering is, again, we're in this bubble, so we're not going to see our names and what we've done for a case, in the spotlight. Yeah. You're not going to see headlines in the paper of what this guardian ad litem did for this child because it's all confidential. So you have to have that, unique ability to bond within our program, so to support each other.
Don't come here if you've got an ego, right?
I have a great story to tell. One of our staff, I had gone out to dinner with him, and he had a friend that had joined us, and the friend came over to me and said, "You work for the Guardian Ad Litem?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Come here, give me a hug." And I got this fabulous, great big bear hug. And he said, "You know what? I was in foster care when I was young. It was my guardian ad litem volunteer that told the court that I wanted to stay with my brother another year until he aged out of foster care and became 18 years old as well. So I got to stay one extra year in that home with my brother, and we were able to move out together." Wow. And you think about that, just of that mentality of that 6 inches of that young adult being in their teens, wondering what's going to happen tomorrow. There's no place, as I said, that you can find more purpose than in our office.
So what's the website if people want to get involved?
Sure. It's guardianadlitem.org, or you can call 386-239-7803.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming in, and definitely whatever we can do, especially with the holidays coming up, let us know, because it's important that we support each other, especially the work that you all are doing.
Thank you for having us, Danny.
Yes, girl, we got you. So we do want to thank WNZF News Radio, Flagler News Weekly, The Vigilante Philanthropists, Massage by Natalie and Company, highly recommended, and also our Benjamin Moore Paint Store right here in Palm Coast for sponsoring our show. And if you need more information, it's at
guardianadlitem.org or calling 386-239-7803.
All right, we'll catch you guys next weekend. Thanks for tuning in.